Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of All Around Hockey, the YouTube channel for the All Around Hockey fan. Today we continue on with our series looking at all 32 NHL teams and previewing them for the upcoming 2026-2027 season. Our last video was on the New Jersey Devils. This video is going to be on the New York Islanders. An interesting team. It's kind of the middle of the pack right now. Maybe they can make some moves to increase what they need. We're going to look at we obviously use Puckpedia here to look at how the team's currently constructed, and then we use PuckGM to look at other moves that could possibly be made, and Hockey Reference to go over any stats from last season. So, looking at how the Islanders look going into this upcoming season so far, they have Simon Holmstrom, Bo Horvat, Palmieri there, Braden Shen, who they brought in from St. Louis, Matthew Barzal, Callum Ritchie, Matthias Michelli, JP Pajot, Emil Heineman, Andre Palat, Casey Zizekas, and Anthony Duclair rounds out that forward unit. Going to the defensive side of things, Matthew Schaefer leads the way and is probably the new face of the franchise after having an easy Calder winning trophy season for the former first overall pick. Ryan Pollock, Adam Pellish, Tony DeAngelo, Alexander Romanov, and Scott Mayfield round out that top six for the defensive side of things. You got Ilya Sorokin and Vitek Vanacek. There's the goaltending tandem, and Semyon Varlamov. There's the third goalie who is still recovering from his knee injury, and then Pierre Engvall there is also on injured reserve. They got McLean and George there, also in the press box going into this upcoming season. So we look over here at what they did last season. Again, kind of middle of the road for them. 43 wins, 34 losses, 5 overtime losses, finishing 6th in the Metropolitan Division, just ahead of their in-state rivalries, New York Rangers and New Jersey Devils. As you can see, their main issue was goals for. They ended up with 229 goals for, 25th best in the league, but ended up with only 236 goals against, which was 5th best in the league. So a lot of low-scoring games for the Islanders last season based on those numbers. We're going to go down here and see what they did scoring-wise. Matthew Barzal led the way, 72 points, 19 goals, 53 assists. Matthew Schaefer, like we said, huge Calder winning season, 23 goals, 36 assists for 59 points. Bo Horvat led the team in goals with 31 goals, 26 assists. Anders Lee is now with the Utah Mammoth. So that's change of scenery, change of perspective and voice there in the locker room for the Islanders. Simon Holmstrom, 19 goals, 22 assists. John Gabriel Pajot, 17 goals, 18 assists. Tony Angelo, 5 goals, 30 assists. Emil Heineman, 22 goals, 9 assists. Callum Ritchie, 13 goals, 17 assists. Pretty good for his rookie season. And then Ryan Pollock, 3 goals and 24 assists. So obviously with Ritchie, that's something they can build off of going into next season. And then they also have some pretty other good prospects coming up the ranks that we'll go over a little bit later. Ilya Sorokin was number one with a bullet there in New York. 54 games started, 55 games played, 906 save percentage, and 268 goals against average, 7 shutouts last season. And then David Rittich, who's no longer with the team, had 14 wins and 10 losses with an 894 save percentage and 276 goals against average and 2 shutout losses. So a couple of pretty nice goaltending tandem between Rittich and Sorokin last season. Can they repeat that now with Vanacek and Sorokin going into the season will be the big question. So kind of looking at how the team is currently constructed, I think middle of the pack is probably where it's at right now for them. I think their playoff hopes really rely on how well the Ilya Sorokin performs. Matthew Barzal, can they get a little bit more scoring from maybe guys like Braden Shen, Matthias Michelli, who they brought in from Toronto, might be a pretty interesting signing. Could also they look inward at their own prospect system that they have with Victor Eklund? Could they call him up? He had we'll check out his numbers from last season. The former first round pick, 16th overall pick for them last season, 24 points, 43 games played in the SHL, and then he had a really good U20 there for Team Sweden with 14 points in 11 games played, and even had and made his NHL debut with 1 game played and even got an assist in that game. So definitely you could probably look at Eklund or Cole Eiserman could definitely be somebody who's up for them this upcoming season. I probably hench my money on it probably being Victor Eklund who gets the call up. Maybe you put Varlamov on LTIR there to clear up that roster spot. And then you put Eklund there in the starting lineup, and I would immediately pair him with Matthew Barzal as quickly as I possibly could. And then maybe run with like a Palmieri there on the second line and have Callum Ritchie down on the third unit. And then you could maybe put Andre Palat there as a healthy scratch. Maybe you can even possibly look at a buyout with him. And then you probably run it with Cizikas there as a third line center instead of John Gabriel Pageau. But maybe they like Pageau there in the third line over Casey Cizikas, so you could even run it like that too. And it'd be pretty solid third unit. So I definitely think that could be an option that they could go Victor Eklund. Could the big name that they've been linked to this offseason for scoring depth has been a Patrick Laine. Could they maybe bring him in? I think if you brought him in, either you're keeping Eklund down going into this upcoming season, or maybe I think Callum Ritchie kind of solidified himself in the National Hockey League last season. Or maybe you're looking at trading possibly an Anthony Duclair, maybe attaching him to an Alexander Romanov trade, which is something we're going to look at right now as a possible move for them. I think you could look at bringing in some scoring depth for the Islanders. And the big team that's been linked to them with Romanov has been the Philadelphia Flyers, a team that can absorb that contract. And we can even possibly look at get a little sneak preview of how their roster currently is constructed. We go over to their team and check out how they have them line up. Like I said, a little sneak preview. They have Noah Cates there, Trevor Zegras, and Sean Couturier right now is currently as their fourth line center, which I don't think is probably what's going to happen. But they also have a Barkey up there as well, with Denver Barkey. Is somebody who I think could be up for them. He had 43 goals, 43 games played, and 17 points for them last season. So I definitely think they're somebody who they've developed as a center. They probably maybe want to move over to center again. So maybe could they trade from their center depth that they have? I think that's something that definitely could happen. Owen Tippett, maybe that's somebody that could interest the Islanders, but I don't think they would trade him in a Romanov type of trade as we go back to the Islanders roster and we check out what they have for trades. So I don't think an Owen Tippett is somebody that they'd be interested in moving for Romanov. Romanov's had a lot of injury history, which definitely hurts his trade value, but he's also locked up for the long term as a pretty solid, 4 or 5 defenseman. And that's something that Philadelphia can maybe look to improve on. So we kind of look at what they have. And I think maybe somebody they could ask for in a trade could be a Christian Dvorak in this type of a trade. Now, Dvorak's got full move, so that definitely is something that could end up derailing this type of a trade. Maybe he doesn't want to go to the Islanders. He probably would want to stay in Philadelphia. So that could be something that goes out the window as well. Like I said, I think you would like to add maybe somebody like an Owen Tippett, but I don't know if that could be done unless you're trading a pretty decent prospect back in return. Maybe like a Caden Aitchison could be something that could maybe make the move work. Or maybe you even ask for a Noah Cates. Maybe not the sexiest pickup at the end of the day, but he's got 3 years left at $4 million, and he has no trade protection. So that probably makes him a little bit more valuable than Dvorak. And you kind of look at Dvorak's numbers. He had 18 goals and 33 assists. Cates matched him in goals and just had a little bit less than assist in 82 games. So maybe Noah Cates is something that could interest the Islanders in a trade, which they would trade Romanov. Some couple guys who maybe could just need a change of scenery to help them maybe develop a little bit more. And I think you could also maybe ask for a David Jiricek in this type of a trade. I think also maybe I think somebody that screams the Philadelphia Flyer, in my opinion, is an Anthony Duclair. So you can maybe even add Declare in that type of a trade. In maybe you have to attach a pick now. Also, does Philadelphia have to attach a pick? But all in all, this could be an interesting trade for both sides. Maybe you add the 5th-round pick there on the Islanders side, just because Cates provides a little bit more scoring. But this could be an interesting trade for both teams. So I would go ahead and make that deal. Frees up a little bit more cap space as well. And you bring in a pretty decent center winger type with Noah Cates. So that could even shore up your third line there. And maybe move Peugeot over to the wing or have Cates over on the wing and have Michelli down there now on the 4th line with Heineman and Cizikas. That could be an option that you could look at. Another option you could look at is you've got 23 on your roster now. I think maybe you have Jiricek there as your right side defenseman. You can move Mayfield over to the left side. That's pretty easy to transition from him. Somebody they could maybe even look at possibly, and they haven't done it yet, but maybe they look at the possibility of buying out Andre Palat. He's got, they'll only affect him for a couple seasons. Doesn't necessarily hurt them too bad in the long run. Just 1.65 going into next season and 2.7 in this season. If you want to do something like that, to possibly bring in some more scoring depth, and then you could go over, and you have a lot of cap space now. Maybe you could even look at an Eli Tolvanen to bring in. 12 goals, 24 assists would be a pretty decent pickup for them. Or maybe Michael Bunting, 14 goals, 19 assists, pretty decent bottom 6 scoring depth. If I was them, I'd probably maybe look at a Bunting to bring in. And you could bring him in on like a 1-year deal around 1.5 or 2 million. We'll put 1.75 down for a contract for maybe a 1-year deal for Bunting. I think it clears up a little bit more and probably replaces Duclair with Bunting now at that point. And then, I think the big rumor is possibly bringing in a Laine to shore up that power play, to be a nice shot on the power play. I think maybe you bring him on a PTO type of a contract, see if you make it, see if you don't type of thing. And then you maybe run it like that. Maybe Heineman and now becomes your pair there. You could even move Isaiah George down or McLean down. And you have Laine there who could fit in construction, structurally into the team. Maybe you sit down Cizikas for a couple more games now. You'd have Callum Ritchie center that 4th unit, or even have Callum Ritchie center the 3rd unit. Those are potential options. Or you maybe move Brayden Schenn over back to the wing, and you maybe run it like something like that with Eklund and Laine on the 2nd unit, and maybe you find something there. And Cizikas could be somebody who comes in and out on the lineup there, maybe substituting out with Brayden Schenn. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below if you like these moves or not. These are just kind of spitball trades that we're thinking of. Maybe you could convince Philadelphia to trade Owen Tippett in that type of a trade. I don't know if that would necessarily work in my opinion, but that could be an interesting move for both teams. Would they trade Romanov and you would bring in a Noah Cates, who could unlock a little bit more there as a scoring depth. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I think this is, like I said, a little middle of the road level team going into this upcoming season. Washington's improved. Pittsburgh's maybe gotten a little bit worse. Philadelphia's hungry for that jump up. Carolina won the Cup last season. Columbus is Columbus. And New Jersey and New York Rangers, who is in our next video. If you haven't already checked out the Devils, that was our last video. We got the Rangers in our next video. But I think a lot of it's going to rely on how well Sorokin does in Barzal, and maybe Cates could come in and provide a little bit more scoring touch. there from the bottom end now with Shen and Callum Ritchie. Patrick Laine, maybe you take it or leave it. Maybe you just leave it as is, and send him and just say, "Nah, we're good." That definitely could be something that they do. But I definitely think maybe you run it like with Eklund there, and then have Eklund eventually take over that power play 2 spot, and you just have Cizikas still in the lineup. You still have Pierre Engvall there as well as another guy that could be of interest to the teams, and maybe you run it like this too. I don't know. Just spitballing it. Let me know what you think, Islanders fans, if you like these moves or not, down in the comments below. Look forward to hearing from you guys. Really enjoyed making this series. Our next video, like I said, is going to be on the New York Rangers. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to All Around Hockey, the YouTube channel for the All Around Hockey fan. And I will talk to you guys in the next video.